content is king. I don't believe that you can produce too much content because there's all these filters and things like that. And if you put enough out there, more people will see it. Welcome to the Matt Laricy Project. This is a show about all things real estate, business, marketing, and entrepreneurship. Each show consists of myself, Matt Laricy, a member of my team, and a guest. This week, we have Jaime Lovano joining us from MLG. Mr. Lovano, how are we doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to be here.
First appearance on the MLG Matt Laricy Project podcast.
Yeah, I don't know why I haven't been on before, but
You've worked there for how long now?
it'll be just about a year, so almost a year.
I think that we probably thought we were going to fire you within the first 6 months. So we didn't want to have to have these outstanding videos out there with you in them and then have to edit you out in the future.
Makes sense.
Okay.
I'm here now, though.
All right. So season 2, E13, moving the ball with Jennifer Garrett, who goes by Jen, not Jenny, but Jennifer or Jen, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So you're an internationally recognized author, an entrepreneur, executive, a powerful speaker who possesses a passion for helping and inspiring others, pushing boundaries, and driving individuals and organizations out of their comfort zones to achieve greatness. That's a pretty good bio.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's a lot of things in here, and from what I've read about you, you have pretty much a master's degree in every single category you can get, right?
Close.
How many masters do you have total?
5.
5 masters.
Well,
Holy
4
cow.
masters.
4 masters.
A JD and then 2 bachelors.
Okay. I barely graduated from Eastern Illinois University. Barely. I'd have to look at my grades, but I'm pretty sure it was pretty much a D average. So what drove you to have love education that much? Because that's got to be a love for education to get that many degrees.
Yeah. Yes. I've always loved learning in general, either in the formal academic setting or outside.
Okay.
But for me, I love the academic discussions that are in formal education, and I was fortunate to have employers that paid for 4 of those degrees.
Wow.
So I'm not drowning in student debt, which is good.
So what made you want it? Was there something that made you want to get 3 or the other 3? Because normally don't you just want 1?
That's a great question. Well, for me, I've always been driven by accomplishment. I have a high need for accomplishment when you look at all the types of needs out there. And because I had these benefits from my employer, I'm like, well, I'm going to keep going to school because I love to learn. I can get it paid for. So it just made sense. Yeah.
And then on a personal basis, you have 5 children.
That's correct.
I mean, I have 1 9.5-month-old, and not that I'm see him as much as I probably should, but I feel like my hands are completely full when I am at home, and yet you have 5. So I tell my wife this all the time. I can't imagine what we're going to do when we have 2. What's that like being able to manage all that at home?
It's busy, craziness, right? Every day is always hustle, bustle, so many things going on, things going wrong, right, that you have to manage. And so it's really, you get used to it once when you're a parent of 1, you've got 1. 2 is not twice the work. It's 4 times the work, but it's just, you really get good at time management skills.
And kind of understand, being able to understand, maybe getting a good routine or something like that to help with the kids, I'd assume, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, my kids are spread out. The oldest is 23.
Okay.
And then the youngest is 3. So there's kind of a gap.
We get the 23-year-old to babysit the 3-year-old, right? You got to put these kids to work.
Yeah.
That's good.
1 on the way, and I'm stressed out half the day.
This kid can't even a breather. That's these pounding monsters at 9 o'clock in the morning,
Shout out Monster.
Man, yeah. Okay, so you're an author now, but prior to that, you're an active military member, and you were in the corporate world, which I've learned that you just left a couple of days ago.
I did, yes. So I spent almost 20 years working in the corporate sector, Fortune 100 companies, Boeing, GE, worked for the federal government as well, and I made the leap just 2 days ago.
Just decided to go all in on the entrepreneur spirit, correct?
Yes.
Okay, but in the meantime, you're still an active military member.
Yes.
And you're serving National Guard right now?
Yep, Michigan National Guard.
Okay, and how long have you been active in the military for?
7 years.
Okay, so and thank you for your service, by the way.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Lovano is also
He never tells me thank you, but
fellow veteran.
Yeah, it's okay.
I tell Mr. Lovano thank you every day of the week. So has the military career at all kind of given you any sort of direction in this entrepreneur leap that you're taking?
The military is great. So as an officer, you're expected to be a leader, no matter if you're an officer or not, right? But there's a lot of leadership training and interaction you have and growth along with being in the military. And so that absolutely has helped me kind of get ready for this step as a full-time entrepreneur.
Yeah, I mean, did the military background play a part and you wanted to become like an author and writing these books and everything?
I've had that goal ever since I was a kid. I've loved to write, so I actually started writing before I actually became a military officer.
Wow. And I'm assuming then you love to read as well, which is why you've gotten all these, master degrees and everything. So, your latest book is called Move the Ball. What does this book mean to you?
Move the Ball is all about how do you take principles from the sport that I love, which is American football, and apply it off the field to be successful in all aspects of your life. So it's not just about how sports can help business, because everybody talks about that. It's how do you use it in all areas to be successful.
So you said that your favorite sport's American football. What made you love football so much?
So growing up here in Chicago, I had two parents that were diehard Chicago Bears fans. And every weekend during the season, I watched games, and I just fell in love with the game at a young age. And the reason, I grew up in the 80s, 85 Bears, great time to be a Bears fan, is I would watch these games where they're down 3-4 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, and they'd still come back and win.
So, what's your opinion right now of Mitch Trubinsky?
You love him.
I mean, I'm a huge fan of Mitch Trubinsky. I hate him. This kid doesn't even, he's a Packers fan.
I'm not a Packers fan.
But, so you grew up loving the football game and everything like that. So did that kind of inspire you to write this book? Or like, where was the motivation, inspiration to kind of come up with this?
Yeah, so I was sitting at the NFC Championship game the year the Packers won the Super Bowl, so they had to come through Chicago to get there. And so I was at that game in 17-degree weather. It was the fourth quarter. Bears are trailing, and they're trying to make a comeback, right? And this is like win or go home.
I remember the game, yeah.
Yes, and so there I was. Lovie Smith calls a timeout. It was fourth down. And so everyone sitting there is thinking about, what are they going to run, right? What play do they need to get that first down?
Right.
And in that moment, I thought about how we have fourth down moments in our life. And it's really up to you to figure out, do you go for it or not? And if you're going to go for it, what are you going to do to get it? And so that was the inspiration for the book. And then that long drive home to Michigan, because I lived in Michigan at the time, I just started jotting down all these lessons on how football really helped me in my life. And that was the beginning of it.
So that was kind of like your little moment that made you kind of realize that this was something you really wanted to do. And that fourth down moment's actually it's a big thing for a lot of people, because I think the biggest probably problem that people have getting into entrepreneurship is taking that leap, because, like you were just in a corporate job, probably getting paid a good salary, and there's that cushion, but it's scary to quote unquote roll the dice and take the leap of faith that you're going to gamble on yourself. Do you feel that is the biggest challenge that people have in life, is that fear of, the failure?
I think it's fear of failure for some people. Like some people get fail often, fail fast, so you need to fail to grow.
Yeah.
So there are some people that fear judgment versus failure. And they look at how people are going to judge them if they don't achieve something, and they hold themselves to some standard that other people have that really doesn't matter. And that's what prevents people from acting as well, not just fear of failure.
Of acceptance then.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I could relate to that a lot. I remember when we graduated college, I took a chance on real estate, get into it, and I thought it would be very easy. And then I realized how terribly difficult it was. You fail a lot and you want to give up all the time, but it's kind of like what you said, you got to gamble on yourself. And at the end of the day, you're either going to win or lose on your own actions, you know? And there's a lot to be said with that. And how do you feel like football relates to the real world then? What are other things that are minus the fourth down?
Yeah, so first of all, I analogize you to being the quarterback on your own life's field. So it's really up to you to drive that forward ball movement. You can't relate or rely on other people to do that. It starts with you taking action. You need a team to help you move forward, but it ultimately lies with you and having ownership over the game that you're playing. Whatever that game is, it's different for all of us, but you have to take ownership, be willing to bet on yourself, and be 100% all in and ready to take action every single day.
Is there other pivoting players minus yourself as a quarterback that you guys try to relate to, or that you relate to back in the book, that like a wide receiver or something, who would be your next big player for a person if they're the quarterback?
Yeah, so I don't really tie it to, you need to have this person as your wide receiver, this is your running back. You just need to have people, you need to have your line that's really going to help block, and tackle for you so you can move forward. So you need to think about who are my key playmakers, and those would be more the ones that you're going to hand the ball off to or pass the ball to really take action for you or help open doors or whatever it is. But you need to have all kinds of people there helping you. And some of them are just cheerleaders and emotional supporters as well. So it's not just people on the field, but you may have some people on the sideline as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think you need to leverage other people to try to get ahead, and also, you do need somebody to kind of comfort you at home to support you, because there are a lot of failures every day of the week, and a person can only take so much. Levano, you're probably feeling some of that right now, right? Starting off in real estate first year.
Honestly, and it's true, but I never thought of it like that, but it really does make sense. I mean, you do need a team, you need a support system, you need these people, but you ultimately are the quarterback. You are the person taking control. So it's interesting.
It's your life. You only got one of them to live,
Yo.
What about in the NFL? Like, is there a player that you see that, like, you're like, man, this guy, like, gets it? Like, you wrote this book and you see him on the field, you're like, this is the guy that I could see, like, really relates to this book the most.
It's a great question. I mean, Tom Brady, everyone talks about Tom Brady.
God damn Tom Brady. I hate Tom Brady. Like, honestly, the guy, he's really good looking. His wife is really good looking and more successful than him, right? She brings the bacon home. He's just like the thing. And he's never got in trouble. He's like the greatest guy of all time. That's why I don't like him.
He wins.
He just wins.
At everything.
I know. God. You kind of want to just give him like one DUI just so you know he's human, because I feel like nobody gets hurt, okay? Like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
right.
Just so I know
A
that.
minor
like,
fender bender.
Yeah, something like that,
Yeah.
like where I just know like, oh, he's not a robot.
Yeah.
Got it. But like, so Tom Brady's the guy that you relate to in this?
And I would say so. And I'm a Bears fan, so I'm not
Yeah.
a Patriots fan. But, he has such a great story, right? 199th pick in the draft. He wasn't
Yeah.
a first-round draft pick.
Yeah.
He wasn't a starter at Michigan when
No.
he was there.
Yeah.
And so look at where he's gone. And he's had that mental toughness, and he plays the full 60, which is a concept I talk about often.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, he's always focused on how can I improve? How can I get better? How can I make sure my team is getting better? And just him and Bill Belichick have great leadership together.
He does a lot of good things in the sense that, one, when he took over Bledsoe, he saw the opportunity, he took it, and he plays his heart out each and every day, and he's always giving it his all, which I think is a big lesson for entrepreneurs to kind of to look at. The other thing is that he spreads the wealth around. He's not looking for the biggest contract. He's looking to say, like, hey, it's not about me, it's about we. And by him taking less money, he's able to get a better team to surround him to support. So kind of like what you're saying, having that support system in place to be able to rely on the others to win the championship, because in the game of life and in the game of football, you can't win it all on your own,
Correct.
We like to all think we're the greatest people of all time. But at the end of the day, it's the people that, are going to walk to the finish line with you that are going to help you get there and ultimately be number one. So, goddamn Tom Brady, though, He's just such a winner. He is a good guy. I do like him a lot. I just secretly hate him.
He's a good-looking dude.
He is a good-looking dude. Like, I mean, I see him like, God, he's good-looking. You know what I mean? Like, and his kids are good-looking. They're all like good kids too. You see him when they celebrated the championship. They're like all proper. They weren't like doing anything bad. Like, God, he just runs a really good ship. What about a piece of advice? Is there a piece of advice in the book that you would like? If there's one takeaway from the book, you're like, this is something you got to know about it.
It's a great question. I think one important concept that not everyone talks about is getting the next first down.
Yeah.
And so, when you hear people talk about sports and team sports, they talk about teamwork and resiliency and all of those things. But something specific to football is getting this next first down concept, because in life, as in football, we don't look to get into the end zone on each and every play. It's about that incremental movement taken each and every day that will get you across the goal line. And so what the next first down is, you have these big goals, right? You should have big goals, but sometimes they seem overwhelming and you get discouraged because you're like, oh my God, I can't get this done.
Right.
So if you break those down into mini goals, first down markers, as I call them, then that seems more manageable, but then you can celebrate your successes along the way, and that gives you momentum to continue to move forward as well.
Well, I mean, life is a game of inches, right? What was that movie where they said you got the 5 inches in front of your face? Remember that movie? Anyways,
I have no idea.
It talks a lot about that. Like, you got to fight for every inch, And after a while, those inches become yards, and those yards become touchdowns. You know, and I talk about that all the time with the guys. Is that it's a lot of the small wins. I relate it to baseball. That like Derek Jeter's one of the best baseball players ever, because singles and doubles get you on base.
Yes.
And everybody wants to hit that home run or get that Hail Mary to get the touchdown, but they forget that like it's all those small plays before that ultimately are going to make you a winner.
Right.
And I think I think it's the way America's built though a little bit, and that's why I think a book like this is so important, is that we want that instant gratification, that we wanted that acceptance today. You get into real estate, Lovano, and you want to be telling everybody, I'm the #1 agent today, but you forget that, like, hey, 10 years before that, you had to work your ass off and, work 20 hours a day and not see your family to be able to get there. And I think the problem is that we promote the success so much nowadays, and we don't promote the hard work it took those people to get to success. You
Right.
know?
Everyone thinks an overnight success, is instant, but it's 10, 20 years in many cases.
People talk about that with us all the time too. They forget that, like, I started when I was 21. And I lived at home till I was 27.
You didn't go out.
Yeah.
You sacrificed everything.
Yeah. So but now when people see us successful, they're like, man, you guys are young and done. It's like, fuck, man, I started when I was 21. And I think that's a big thing that people should take away from a book like this is the fact that you have to hustle. That's it. Every single day in and day out. What do you think is important about the book in everyday life? Like, what's something that somebody could take away for, like, each day they wake up, they could do something that relates to in the book?
It's your mindset. How do you show up every morning?
Yeah.
So something that I say to myself every morning is I will suit up, I will show up, and I will move the ball each and every day. So no matter what happens, because life happens, things occur that just kind of disrupt our day. And so it's ultimately up to you to control how you end that day.
Yeah.
And so what you tell yourself each and every morning kind of gets you going and then determines how you end the day.
The mental mindset.
Yes.
Routine.
Yeah. Power of routine. I talked about this though before about, like, how powerful the mind can be. I always relate to a movie, Pumping Iron. Arnold Schwarzenegger was in it. It's one of the movies that made him be like who he is today. And he talks about, I don't know why, but this stuck with me my entire life. He talked about, there was this guy, Franco Columbu, who just recently passed, who used to do 500-pound squats, like, 20 of them in a row. And he said one day he came into the gym and he couldn't do one. And Arnold looked at him and he said, how could you not even do one of these when I've seen you just do 20 the day before? And he said Franco walked outside, took 10 minutes, kind of got his thoughts together, came back in and knocked out 25 in a row. And it thinks to yourself that, like, you're only as powerful as mentally you're able to be.
Yes.
And if you wake up every day, like you're saying, and you mentally are focused that you can win each and every day, it's putting yourself in that batter's box. It's putting yourself in the position to win. If you have a failure mentality, you're going to be a failure. You know what I mean? It's the way you think about it. So,
Yes.
That's a really, really good point to take away. Now, minus this latest book that you wrote called Move the Ball, you have a planner that you wrote. Is that correct? It's called
Yes.
a 30-day planner. Is that the correct word for it?
Correct, yeah. It's a 30-day playbook to win is what I call it.
Okay. And what is this mostly about?
So it's called the daily hustle because life is like you're supposed to hustle daily, right? But it's not just about what you do. It's are you doing the things that are important? Because so often people confuse being busy with being productive. Just because you're moving around doesn't mean that you're progressing towards the things that matter.
Yeah.
So this book is really designed to help people get focused on the things that are important over a 30-day period.
What's the main takeaway from it? Like, if there's one thing you got to tell people to do on this, is it just like routine or?
It's prioritizing your day each and
Okay.
every day and reflection at the end of the day so that you can plan for the next day.
Yeah.
Because so often we have our to-do list, right? And we just
Yeah.
try to get through them, but it's like, no, what are the critical 5 things that you need to get done each and every day?
Yeah.
And that's how you spend your time. You work on those things.
Yeah, I believe that tomorrow is always done the night before. You know,
Yes.
if you plan ahead, clean out that inbox, mentally prepare for what you're going to face the next day, it's what's going to keep you being winners. I talk a lot about the power of routine. How many times do I talk about the power of routine?
Every meeting, all the time.
Every single day you should do the same things. I think that's what keeps you successful and focused because it's easy, like you're saying with the routine and, relating it to football. Think about you're just starting this new career, right? You've kind of turned in your letter of resignation. You're about to start something fresh, and tomorrow may have nothing on your schedule compared to having to be in the office at 8 o'clock or something like that.
Right.
It would be super easy for you tomorrow morning to hit that snooze button and wake up at 10, right? Wouldn't that be
Yes.
really easy to do? I get it, you got kids and everything like that, but I'm saying, like, you can mentally be like, what's another 10 minutes in bed, which can turn to another hour.
Right.
But the routine of waking up at the same time, or maybe earlier than you would have woke up for your corporate job, is what's going to set you up for success rather than failure, right?
Correct. Yep.
And I think that's a big thing. What drove you to write a planner like that? Is it just trying to inspire people to get into the power of, like, the daily hustle, or?
Yeah, it's really the power of intention, right? And being deliberate with how you spend each day. And people would always ask me, like, what do you do? How do you accomplish all that you do? And it's really about being intentional with how I spend every single minute of every day. And how do you do that? By planning the night before, by getting your routine in order and being consistent each and every day.
So it's a lot of small wins then, kind of, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So I know you do a lot of talking sessions and things like that, but what we talked about earlier with the instant gratification, how does that discourage people knowing that there's a lot of small wins? Like, how do you inspire people to keep moving forward, knowing that it's a lot of small wins to get to a bigger picture?
Sure, by planning out the important things for each day, as you check those off, those are small wins, but you're acknowledging, hey, I did that, right? And so you're getting excited over the little things. And when you continually see all these little things that you're doing and you see that you're moving those inches to yards to first down markers, then that kind of just gets you going. Whereas if you feel like you're living a life of randomness and you're trying to fit things in, then you just feel completely overwhelmed, you're stressed. Whereas if you feel like you have a plan and you see that you're checking off these small wins, it's very easy to keep wanting to do more.
Yeah. I mean, so do you think this planner kind of holds people a little bit more accountable?
If you use it right, it will, because you're supposed to plan out your day, and then at the end of the day, come back and assess, like, did you get these things done? What's
Right.
your plan for the next day? And make adjustments if you need to.
Yeah.
So the reflection period is at the end, and you kind of look at the day and say, oh, I didn't accomplish this, and hold yourself accountable
Right,
for
yes.
the next day.
And life happens. If you don't get something done that day, that's okay. You obviously want to get things done, but just put it on your plan for tomorrow. But it's, again, saying, okay, I still have to do this. So now that's going to be my top priority tomorrow.
Do you find accountability has been a difficulty for you to try to, help teach people?
Some people, it depends. Like, some people, like, they know that they need to do it. And so through working together, like, okay, I'm ready. I'm going to bet on myself. I believe that I can do this. Now it's time. But accountability is key. And so the people that are successful over the long term are the people that really hold themselves accountable on a daily basis.
Yeah. I mean, I always say that I think it's the best thing you do. I mean, if I mess something up for you, right? Let's say I dropped the ball big time for you. And even if it
fumbled.
wasn't my fault, yeah, you fumble. And even if it wasn't my fault to make that happen, if I keep making excuses, you're only going to get more mad at me, right?
Yes.
But if I automatically was like, you know what, I messed up, whether or not it was my fault or not, ultimately the buck stops with me because I'm the leader.
Mm-hmm.
So I should be the one that does it. And I apologize a lot for it and sincerely mean it. It's hard for you to keep yelling at me because I've already given up. I've already fallen on the sword and told you, like, I always say I fucked up. Like, what do you want from me? You know what I mean? Like, I'm so sorry. Like, I know I did wrong. I feel like that kind of, like, dilutes everything a little bit on the other side. And it could make a problem become something, more powerful in the fact that, like, people are going to respect you more for being more accountable and taking ownership of those failures. And I think that's the biggest problem I personally see. And I'm a millennial, but I do see it a lot with millennials is that, nobody wants to take accountability anymore. And we hire a lot of young people, and they tend to get fired pretty quick.
Yeah.
Because they won't take accountability, and it drives me, like, absolutely crazy. So I was just wondering if, like, all of this seems like accountability is definitely something people have to have on here. And I just was wondering if, like, you hear a lot of people try to make excuses why they're not able to maybe see as much success as somebody might without accountability when they read these books and stuff like that.
Sure. I mean, I've seen it throughout my career too, where the
Yeah.
great leaders, if you look at the great business people and the great leaders in life, they take ownership over the situation that happens. They don't look to blame other people. Even if they didn't have a huge part in what happened that went wrong, they
Right.
still say, I'm the leader. I take responsibility. Let's figure out where do we go from here.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly, and that's how you should be.
Yeah.
I talk about that all the time.
Check your ego at the door
Mm-hmm.
because, it doesn't mean anything.
Yes sir, no sir, always, And they probably learned that a lot from the military, right? I mean, that has to give you some sort of background, knowing that, like, it's probably pretty hard. Now, I've never been in the military, but at least from what I've read, you can't go up to an officer if you're, not an officer and start screaming at him, right? Wouldn't there be some sort of accountability for that? Like, and
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
so,
Rule number one, right?
But my point is, like, that has to at least. I mean, did that teach you any lessons for this stuff? Because, like, in real life, you could technically go up and yell at anybody, and it's not really going to do anything,
Right. Yeah, it's definitely a different culture. You have to be more respectful and reserved, but it's also about taking that ownership again. In the military world, people will say, "Hey, I dropped the ball, right? Or I
Yeah.
should have done that. My bad."
Yeah.
And again, it's let's figure out. Okay, it happened. We can't change that. So where do we go from here? And you absolutely get more respect by taking that, responsibility for something.
Nice. So, now today, minus the 5 degrees, 5 kids, writing a lot of books, you also do some coaching and speaking seminars and stuff like that, right?
Yes.
Where do you normally do these? Are you doing these across the country now, or are you doing them only local? Like, how do you mostly do these?
Yeah, so I usually do them in corporations. Like, they'll hire me to do a webinar series on different topics or in-person workshops. I am, now that I am full-time entrepreneur, I am looking to do my own workshops, and I'll do some here locally in Chicago since I'm here.
Yeah.
But I do plan on expanding that nationwide too.
And then is there a type of profession that you are trying to kind of more gear towards, or are you trying to like be more open about it, or is there, like, I'm just curious if there's one type of profession that this is more geared towards than others?
Yeah, it's not industry or profession specific. It's really about people who are serious and really want to make those changes in their life to get to where they want to go.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in the people who are like, oh, I want to show up for a short term, see that overnight, success and move on, because that doesn't happen. I want people that are committed and really going to do the work, right, and put in what they need to be able to be successful.
Now, how do you plan on scaling this? Have you thought about this far ahead yet or anything?
I have.
Okay.
And so I am planning on using online curriculum. I've got there's a platform called Kajabi that I'm going to be rolling out online courses to try to reach more people across the globe.
Yeah. You going to get into social at all with that? Doing any like Instagram and Facebook ads or doing any hyper-targeted stuff like that?
I will. I haven't done it yet, but that is on the list.
Okay. Yeah. I love this type of stuff. I think the promotional aspect of it is like, to me, like half the fun of like doing anything entrepreneur, doing something different, creating podcasts and stuff like that. Right, House? Yeah. Getting your name out there as much as you can will only get you more sessions and, have more people grow and learn more stuff. Do you see somebody that you feel that you kind of connect with more on a professional level? Like you're like, hey, there's these realtors, they're the easiest ones that I feel like I can help, or the corporate 9-to-5 guys that are in like C-level suites are the guys that I connect with most. Is there somebody that you feel is one type of profession that really connects to the most at all?
It's a great question. I mean, I spent a lot of time in aerospace and defense in my corporate life, so I feel like I know a lot more examples to tie to situations in that industry.
Yeah.
And I've worked with different C-suite people in different industries. Really, most of my people are corporate people, but I've worked with entrepreneurs here more recently too. I mean, I'm newer to that space, but I've taken my Fortune 100 experience and said, okay, I know how to run a big business.
Yeah.
Now let's just take it to a smaller scale.
Yeah, I mean, I think the entrepreneur has a lot of, like, something like what you have has a lot of growth in the entrepreneur space too, because there's a lot more entrepreneurs now than there ever was before because of this thing called the internet and social media,
Yes.
and it's kind of taken over. I mean, Gary, you ever listen to Gary Vee before?
Yes.
I mean, he talks about that stuff all the time, it's I think the problem is, and where I think something like this can really, really help is the entrepreneur that you can lose motivation, especially if you don't have that support at home pretty quick, because you're going to fail a lot more than you're going to succeed. And being able to hold yourself accountable with like a planner, like understanding like a book of like, it's a game of inches rather than, a Hail Mary every time. I think that can help keep these guys kind of on pace and knowing that there is something at the end of the day to look forward to,
Yes.
and I think that's the biggest thing that entrepreneurs can kind of get held up on, right? I mean, Levano, you're in that position a lot. I mean, you're new in the business. Like, do you ever feel that, the inches are never going to add up to anything?
Yeah, I mean, I try and take a step back and take the approach, change my mentality on that. Because you do, I mean, like, you see all these TV shows, $1 Million Listing, you think that you're selling $1 million properties all the time. In reality, it's these $250,000, $300,000, all these little deals that do add up to $1 million. So, it's coming into this industry is like a big awakening into what it really actually is. But once you got a good mentor behind you, a good team, you figure it out.
That's right. What about where do you see like most young entrepreneurs fail?
Well, they say a lot of people, entrepreneurs, whether you're young or not, is that you give up too quickly because you're not seeing those instant successes.
Yeah.
So you say, oh, well, let me go do something else. But if you're really committed, the people that work day in, day out, year after year, those are the ones that have these amazing success stories. So I think it's really have that courage to continue on and be willing to bet on yourself no matter what happens, right? And keep moving forward. And I think people just give up too easily.
Yeah, I think that's a good point for everybody that's listening out there is, kind of, don't give up and bet on yourself. And, it's not going to take a year or 2 years. It's going to take 10 or 11. But when you look back, it's kind of crazy to see how far you've come. I mean, for a lot of people and even for yourself, I mean, we're coming up on 2020, right? Mm-hmm. If you think to yourself where you were in 2010, right? 10 years back, I'm sure it looks like you've come a really long distance, but it looks 2012 when you look back, it didn't look like you went that far, right?
Right, yes.
And I think this is a good time for people to reflect on knowing that, 10 years have gone by, you should be happy where you have gone. If you're not happy, you still have time to change it,
Right.
What inspires you, by the way? I mean, you have all these accomplishments. You're killing it in the game and all this stuff. You're inspiring people. What drives you? What's your inspiration?
Right now, my inspiration, I can't speak. My inspiration has changed. I mean, before I was a corporate ladder climber. I just wanted to be a Fortune 100, Fortune 500 CEO. Like that was the goal, be Jack Welch, kind of a thing. And I shared this with Jaime before, but my father passed away unexpectedly a couple years ago, and that
I'm sorry to hear
kind of
that.
changed things. Thank you. And it really showed me how replaceable you are in the corporate space, and the world keeps moving. And so for me, it's about making an impact on the lives of other people and really helping others to move that ball. I often say success is not measured by only what you accomplish, but by what you inspire other people to do. And so for me, it's really just trying to help other people. I mean, that's so rewarding when someone says, I met you or I read your book and I did this, as a result. So that's really what drives me every day, is to just impact more people and really help others.
That's an interesting point too that you made. I mean, a tipping point maybe in your career was when your father passed away unexpectedly. I mean, my mother passed away unexpectedly in 2010, and for me, that was my tipping point. It's weird to say, but it's almost like the world seems a little more clear. It's there's a lot of, I read a lot of like weird stuff, and they say that you actually don't become a real person till you bury both your parents. And I don't know why that is, but that connected with me a lot when my mom passed away. I could definitely relate to the fact that you grow as a person almost instantly, and it's hard to describe, but it happens.
Yes.
And it's good to hear that somebody else can connect on that level as well, that you kind of felt in that position. So that's cool. We have something called the Fast Five, where Mr. Lovano, aka Jaime Lovano, asks 5 quick questions to our co-host. You ready for this?
Yep, let's do
This
it.
is your first Fast Five.
I know.
Don't mess it up.
So what is the best piece of advice you ever received?
The best piece of advice I've ever received is, it's really a way to think of things. And this person said to me, what is it that you want? So what's the outcome that you want? And what's the price you're willing to pay for it? Meaning, if you want to achieve X, what are you willing to do to be able to get that? Because people aren't willing to do what they need to be successful in the space that they're at. That's always just resonated with me, and I've heard people build billion-dollar businesses using this mentality.
Yeah.
And it's so true. I mean, what is it that you want? And if you want to get it, what are you willing to do? And again, most people aren't willing to do what they need to.
It's about sacrifice.
Yes.
Yeah, it's cool.
Do you love to win or hate to lose?
I love that question because I
my
talk
favorite
about
question.
it often, and I actually hate to lose. And the reason for that is everybody loves to win, right? But the difference between loving to win and hating to lose is if you hate to lose, you're going to push yourself each and every day so that you don't lose. Whereas wanting to win is kind of a casual, like, oh, yeah, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to win today. Whereas if you don't want to lose, you're driven each and every moment of every day. And so I hate to lose.
They say the corporate answer
she's
is
corporate,
to love to win. And that I've had friends that didn't get jobs because they said that they hated to lose, because they say you're a sore loser. But I agree exactly with what you just said.
Who is your biggest hero?
My mom. And the reason I say that is my mom is a first generation in the country. She came from the Philippines in the 1960s.
Wow.
She was a nurse, came to Chicago. Keep in mind, this was before the days of social media, the
Right.
internet, right? So coming from across the Pacific Ocean to a completely new country to take a job at 24, it's kind of a big deal.
It's crazy.
Right? And so, I mean, she's got an amazing work ethic. She's a caring, giving person. I mean, I'm a single parent of 5. And so my mom helps me all the time. I couldn't achieve what I've done in my life without my parents. And so just watching her and observing her, I've definitely gotten a lot of qualities from her as I've grown up.
Nice.
If you can have one superpower, what would it be?
That's a great question.
You got to be the hero or the villain, too. You know what I mean?
Oh, I like being the hero.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah, I had not thought, I mean, I guess for me, I really think being your authentic self is a superpower. And so this is probably an answer you haven't gotten, or most people don't say, because they think about, like, I want to have X-ray vision, right, or something
Right.
like that. But for me, just having that courage to always be your authentic self and use that authentic self to inspire other people and like kind of own who you are and not feel like you have to hide that, because your voice does matter and you can impact so many people. So I'd say my superpower would be to always be my true authentic self.
Authenticity is rare these days, because on social media we always try to show how great we are, and it's rare that we show how terrible we are because we're nervous about being judged. So I think that's actually would be a legit superpower because it's almost rare to see anybody who actually is like real anymore. So
If everyone had to tell the truth,
yeah,
it would be
it'd be
a
pretty
different
sick.
world.
Yeah.
Last one. What makes you Chicago?
It's the sports teams. I mean, Bears, Cubs, Blackhawks, Bulls.
Yeah.
And I love the city because of the sports, and we're loyal fans. Like through and through, we are there. We may not be happy with our Bears right now, but I mean, we're still Bears fans.
That's awesome. So where can people find you, and what would you want to plug?
I would say, check out my Instagram, Move the Ball. I'm always posting motivational content, tips, and strategies. And I just started a new mailing list to deliver more content. It's
Nice.
at thenextfirstdown.com. I
Okay.
chose that domain specifically because of what we talked about
Right.
earlier. And so I'm always delivering value and telling people how they can be less stressed, move the ball in their life, be happier. For me, I want people to look in the mirror before they go to bed and smile because they had a fulfilling day.
Awesome. So make sure to tune into our next episode and subscribe to our podcast. Thanks for listening to the Matt Laricy Project. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast, follow us on Instagram, and like us on Facebook.